while much of the focus has been on the U.S. because the U.S. has been sort of the epicenter of this problem, this huge amount of leveraging and now deleveraging, and the housing industry in particular was a central part of this. But it has affected everyone because globalization means that what happens in one country, particularly a big country, affects all the others.
Morocco the economy had to face two kinds of shocks. We had the external shocks with the sharp rise in the world prices of petroleum, wheat, and other commodities. Like you said, we import 95% of our needs on energy products. And to address these shocks, Morocco enhanced the resilience of the Moroccan economy. First of all, we did a lot of reforms to maintain stable the macroeconomic framework. During these last years, Morocco strengthened the public finance position, improving the tax revenue thanks to a fiscal reform and the reducing ordinary expenditure. The overall fiscal deficit improved from 2% of GDP in 2007 thanks to a higher tax revenue. And the total government debt was about 54% of GDP.
But we have to understand that this situation with total shortage of natural resources and energy resources will be solved not without scientific technological achievements. And it seems to me mankind is going to second scientific technological revolution, which mostly can be called nanotechnology revolution. Nanotechnology will tremendously influence material, and we will get in use such a modified materials which tremendously decrease necessity to utilize natural resources. Practically, in the next 10 and maximum 20 years, mankind can produce anything from everything in terms of natural resources, not only related to natural resources, but most probably to human resources. Health will tremendously increase, life expectancy will change, and it will change global order, not only global business order. Unlike many scholars in my book, I made quantitative analysis of global order and came to a conclusion that United States until year 2030 for sure will keep role of superpower, economically definitely. But at the same time, regional superpowers will arrive, and their power will be not only determined by number of people in these countries, not only by population. Analysis shows that among regional superpowers definitely will be China, India, Brazil, Egypt, South Africa, but not only.
Now, I may say that maybe if it was 7 years ago or 8 years ago, before September 11th, maybe we would have seen an impact because most Gulf money was invested in the US. But at this point, I think there is a change of strategies in terms of where the money would go. And there was a rising confidence in the last 5-6 years of seeing that there are many countries within the region, all the way from the Gulf, North Africa, subcontinent, of a lot of creation of good investment opportunities. There are a lot of infrastructure being built, which actually helps with a lot of investment that takes place. So most of the money has been invested within the region at that point, rather than actually being overseas. The sense of euphoria that people who make so much money makes them desensitized at some points, that they never feel that there is a bottom that they could fall into. And this sense sometimes has to be shaken, because that's the only way that you can actually correct the market.
As controversial as it is, it's really not about politics, it's about arithmetic. If you're a low savings country, you don't have enough saving, you have to get it from other parts of the world that have higher savings rates.
What is new is probably the relative weight of the different countries. Mm-hmm. Even if everybody was present since the beginning, now we see a bigger importance, not mainly from South Asia, but probably from China. I think China is coming in this organization more and more represented and more important. A global approach, multi-dimensional in terms of policy dimensions, and also taking into account the views of the different governments, the different sectors of the industry, and the different groups, the NGOs. This is certainly ambitious. I am not saying that we will find tomorrow morning a solution, but at least we are speaking about something kind of dream for the next decade or decades. We have put at the top of our agenda the opening of the borders for trade and investment. And despite the difficulties of the Doha round negotiation, we think that the multilateral system is the best system. And contrary to some people, we think that the bilateral agreements and regional agreements, which are signed now, and which are certainly easier to sign than any Doha round negotiation conclusion, are not going completely in the right direction.
Should we open up our markets, open up trade more, like we did on telecommunications in the last round, after the last round of trade negotiations, to environmental equipment, environmental services, so that there are fewer barriers, so that countries that need them can get them more cheaply? Another potential Doha round or post-Doha round issue.
You know, are we going to go back to the 1930s, which I think is perhaps the most pressing question facing us at the moment, because although America, you know, if things continue as they have been going on, and we're at a moment where America stands at a crossroads politically, where they could take a bad situation and make it dramatically worse. You know, I think there's a real question about the, you know, what we're trying to understand what went wrong. Why has the financial system been shaken to its fundamentals, as Shaukat accurately put it?
We have to encourage America now to look at the world, to share the power, to become more humble, and we'll become all stronger together. If America does not make this turn, we will all become very weak all together.
So bilateral deals are healthy because they promote trade. They can target countries. For example, there are countries in Africa who have special access into the United States. There are countries in the Middle East. Jordan has a special access. Right. If you wait for WTO and you sort of have a level playing field, eventually that's the way I think we should go. You'll miss out on these medium to long-term gains. I think the very success of trade, globalization, free trade, has to be a phased process. If we think it'll be one button and everything changes, it won't happen. And I am a bit disappointed at the role of the multilaterals. Here was an opportunity for them to get hold of the situation and lead, and it's not happening. If it comes as an IMF solution, it may get better acceptability than if it comes from one country. And I think we need to broaden the base. Time is still there. Last point is that in life you learn, and history will tell us, that some of the biggest mistakes which have been made when one is feeling strong and at the top. Yeah. We need humility, we need to have our feet on the ground, and we must recognize that success doesn't stay forever.